remember the Maine? No, seriously, do you remember the Maine? The phrase refers to that massive explosion that sank one of America's first battleships, stationed in Havana, Cuba, killing 260 U.S. sailors on board. Today marks the 115th anniversary of that event. At the time, the Navy officially stated that the ship was blown up by a mine. And while they didn't place the blame directly on Spain, Congress left little doubt that the Spanish were in fact responsible for the explosion. The sinking of the Maine, coupled with U.S. criticism of Spain's control over Cuba, were all the ingredients necessary to start the Spanish-American War. The war lasted only a few months, ending with a ceasefire in the Treaty of Paris. However, an overlooked aspect of this treaty is that it officially granted the U.S. government its first overseas empire, having acquired the territories of Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines, formerly in the possession of Spain. But if we want to truly give justice to the memory of the Maine, we should consider all the facts. See, in 1976, American naval investigators concluded that the inferno that sank the Maine and killed more than half its crew was caused by the ship's ammunition stockpile igniting. The investigation proved once and for all that the Spanish were not to blame. Isn't it interesting that an entire war could be launched against another country based entirely on false pretenses? Well, we're no strangers to this notion of starting wars on lies. One just has to look at the Iraq War to see that this is a common occurrence. But did you know that there's actually a long history of governments staging events or provocations and blaming them entirely on other countries in order to provide a pretext for war? They're called false flag attacks. And according to its naval warfare origins, a false flag attack occurs when a government uses an elite special operations cadre to attack that nation's state while falsely bearing the flag of another country or group. In other words, it's a self-inflicted wound used to outrage the populace and provide the necessary support and motivation for a country to attack or declare war. In fact, falsehoods seem to be at the heart of every major war of aggression throughout history. But I'll just go over a few more. Remember how the U.S. became embroiled in the Vietnam War? Well, in 1964, President Johnson reported that 3 Vietnamese boats attacked 2 U.S. warships in the Gulf of Tonkin off the Vietnamese coast. Newspapers, including the Washington Post and New York Times, among countless other publications, ran headlines about the attack, which helped to galvanize the public to support the U.S. to enter the war. I don't blame the public for supporting retaliation against a country attacking their own. However, there's one slight problem with the story. It simply is false. Literally, it never happened. It was a made-up event, which took decades to come to light. A false flag event might be a foreign notion to you. You might be grappling with the fact that this country would kill its own citizens to advance an agenda. But one has to look no further than what former Defense Secretary Robert McNamara under JFK proposed under a now declassified document known as Operation Northwoods. Northwoods is probably one of the most sinister plans ever devised, at least that we know of. And it was aimed at developing a way to trick the American public and the international community into supporting a war for Cuba. Based on the document, it was revealed that the U.S. forces would be authorized to use quote, pretexts which would provide justification for U.S. military intervention in Cuba. The most alarming aspect of this was the disturbing scope to which these pretexts entailed. See for yourself. They included starting rumors using clandestine radio, landing friendly Cubans in uniform over the fence to stage attacks on base, capturing Cuban saboteurs inside the base, starting riots, blowing up ammunition, starting fires, burning aircrafts, lobbing mortar shells, capturing militia groups, sabotaging and sinking ships, and conducting mock funerals for mock victims. The extent of this false flag proposition even went as far as to hijack American aircrafts and blow up a NASA rocket carrying an astronaut. Luckily, Kennedy had enough sense to reject the plan. But what if other presidents aren't like Kennedy? You know, many people look at the events of 9/11 in that same light, and I myself still have many questions about the attacks, seen as how they were used to create perpetual war abroad and a police state here at home. Do you think Bush and Cheney had Kennedy's sense? Do you think Obama does?